I think what we'll do now is I'll just get started with some introductory comments before Jamie starts the session tonight, and that'll allow others a chance to join before the real meat of the session begins. So welcome everyone. My name is Jeff Beach and I'm the Executive Director for the Canadian Spondylitis Association. It's a pleasure to welcome you here this evening, and we're really pleased to be back after a brief summer break from our webinar series. We're back and we're really excited to be launching this webinar tonight, because it's not only the return of our webinar series and a really interesting topic that's generated a lot of registrations for tonight's session, but it's also the launch of our new partnership with Yoga for AS. Some of you might recall that we did a pilot session on yoga and stretching with Jamie and his partner, Jeff Lindsay. In the early part of this year, several Canadians from representing CSA were invited to participate in this pilot program. And it really was very successful and was overwhelmingly positive in terms of reviews in showing people how yoga can help to manage people to manage their disease and to improve mobility and flexibility and much more. So those are the things that we're going to present here tonight based on the results of that pilot. We developed this partnership with Jamie and Jeff at Yoga for AS, who I'll introduce in a moment. And this webinar is really serving as the launch of that partnership between CSA and Yoga for AS. So we're really excited about that. Also, as related to that partnership, if you go to our website from any point tonight onwards, you will find information about yoga and how you can sign up for the program that Jamie's giving us an introduction to here tonight. So this session will be very instructional in nature, but there's a lot more resources that are available to you at no charge, thanks to this great partnership and our sponsors as well. So before we get started, just want to thank everybody again for joining us here tonight. We want to welcome those who regularly attend our webinars and extend a special warm welcome to people who might be joining us for the first time. Just a couple of housekeeping items before we get going with the session. I wanted to mention that this session is being recorded. If you haven't noticed, we will be sending out a link to the recording to everyone who registered for the session here tonight. So if you have to leave early or jump off at some point to deal with something, don't worry, you will get a recording of the full session, as will everyone who's registered. We'll also be sharing it through our social media channels, and it will live on as a resource in our videos on our website as well. You will notice that participants other than speakers have been muted in order to eliminate distractions and background noises. This session is intended to provide general information and not any sort of medical advice. So if you have concerns, please always consult with your healthcare team before starting anything new. We had a great response to this webinar, quite a number of registrants. So we anticipate there will be a lot of questions at the end. And in order to manage that, we would ask that you, if you have a question, that you submit it using the Q&A feature. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a little panel with different features on it. And there is a Q&A session, a Q&A feature rather, that you can use to submit questions. Also, for those that might have just joined us in the last few minutes, we have a couple of poll questions that we're flashing up. If you feel like answering them, we're going to refer back to those during the Q&A session as well. Please also know that if we don't get to your questions tonight, you can always reach out to us at any time, info@spondylitis.ca, and we'll be glad to connect you with the information that you're looking for. I want to also mention a little bit about the Canadian Spondylitis Association. We are a registered charity that is committed to providing support and education and advocacy and awareness for people affected by spondyloarthritis across the country, across Canada. So our organization was founded as a nonprofit by patients and healthcare professionals, and remains very much a grassroots organization dedicated to helping improve the lives of people living with spondyloarthritis. And this session and this new partnership with Yoga for AS, I think, is a great example of how we can do that, working with the community. I also want to take a moment just to, for those of you that might be joining us for the first time, just to remind everyone or introduce you to the fact that our website is a great source of information and support, and we're always looking to add to it and improve. So if you haven't, please visit us at spondylitis.ca, and make sure that everyone in your network knows about Canadian spondylitis as well. I want to also mention that we do have a number of support group initiatives, including Facebook support groups, and in some communities across different provinces across the country, we do have local community support groups that are organized by volunteers who are all people living with spondyloarthritis as well. So if you'd like to connect with people who have shared experiences with you, please reach out to us and or visit our website, and you'll see more information about those support initiatives as well. Lastly, I will say just a quick mention that CSA is a registered charity. We do rely on donations and support from our sponsors and from individuals in the community in order to offer the programs and the services that we do for the community. So if you are so inclined and if you're able to, we really appreciate all donations. Any amount, every donation is truly appreciated. And you can sign up to be a donor or just to join our mailing list. It's all available through our website, or again, if you want to reach out to us directly, info@spondylitis.ca is a great way to reach us. I do want to acknowledge, and I don't know why, there we go. Now, you should see the slides have advanced. Little slight technical difficulty here. I want to acknowledge our partners. These companies provide educational funding and support for the Canadian Spondylitis Association and allow us to develop programs like this and offer them to you as people living with spondyloarthritis across the country. In particular, I also want to add special thanks to AbbVie, who was the lead sponsor on this program, funding the pilot and the initial development of our partnership with Yoga for AS, and also acknowledge the support of Organon and Pfizer in the development of this program and the offering of this webinar here tonight. So without any further ado, I will introduce you to our guest speaker, our very special guest speaker here tonight and presenter, Jamie Boder. Jamie is a yoga teacher from the UK. So where I am here, it's just after 7:30 Eastern time. I believe it's about 12:30 a.m. Friday morning for you, Jamie, if I've done the math correctly.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
So Jamie's staying up late. Hope you had some coffee or something before the session. But Jamie is joining us live from the UK. He lives with a form of spondyloarthritis, and together with Jeff Lindsay, who is an AS patient as well, founded Yoga for AS. They are an organization that teaches people living with spondyloarthritis how to safely and effectively practice yoga, stretching, and other integrative practices. So Jamie, we're thrilled to have you with us, thrilled to launch this new program and these great resources for our community here in Canada. And I'll turn the floor over to you now.
Thank you so much, Jeff. And just really want to say a warm welcome to everyone who is joining us live and those joining through the recording. And I'd also like to say the Avenue as well. So we're going to get started in just a moment, but few housekeeping for the session today. You'll need a chair that you can move around, and ideally one without wheels. And then some pillows, some cushions. That's really all you need. If you have a belt or strap, any belt or strap, doesn't have to be a yoga one or anything like that, that's a bonus. Don't worry if you don't have that. If you do, that's great. So a few things to say before we start, and hopefully this will kind of really introduce our ethos at Yoga for AS is when we're doing this practice, it's about listening to what's going to serve your body the most. So whenever we go through a posture, an exercise, a movement, it's about asking a question to yourself. Is this enough? Do I need to go further? Do I need to push? Because quite often, especially in today's world, we have this idea of more is better. And I want you to just refrain from that and perhaps just say, okay, well, what's going to serve me today? And that's really what we're going to be doing in this session, is introducing how we at Yoga for AS show people how to safely approach a yoga practice. The point of this practice today is to show people that there is not one way to stretch. So what we'll be going through, there'll be about 4 or 5 different levels of ability that will suit the poses and exercises we do. So there'll be something there for you. And for most of the poses, especially the first half, we'll be doing 2 rounds. The first round will be more gentle. And then the second round, you can go for the first positions we did, or you could try something a little bit more deep and intense. So it's whatever you feel is going to fit within your ability today. So hopefully that covers everything. And please do, if you think of questions, put them in your back pocket and save it for the end of the session, and we can talk anything through. More than happy to address those. Okay, well, enough talking. I say let's go and get started. We're going to begin with a warm-up sequence. And this is just going to be a real standard warm-up just to get the body moving. And we're going to start with the feet hip distance apart and pressing the feet into the floor, arms by the side. And just taking a moment to really press into the feet. Imagine there's a piece of string drawing the crown of the head up, and just taking a moment to stand really tall as you can today. And just take a moment to acknowledge yourself for taking the time out of your day to do something for you. Okay, so we're going to begin to take the hands onto the hips, have a little spring, a little bend in the knees, and begin to send the hips back behind you. And keep the spine really as long as you can, and then come up, back up to stand. So you could imagine there's like a refrigerator door behind you, and with the buttocks, you're sending the bum back to shut that door. So this is just working some hinging into the hips. It's going to activate the muscles up the legs, up the hamstrings, also working into the back. And it's not about how far you come down here. It's about just keeping the back really quite long and open, same for the spine. And if this feels like enough, do stay here. If you want to make this little warm up a little bit more challenging, you could reach the arms out in front as you come forward, and then by your side as you come back. Make sure to keep breathing. Just going to continue this for just about 10 more seconds. Slow these down. And then come back to center whenever you're ready. Okay, from here, reach the arms out in front of you. Shoulders relaxing down, and begin to take the right hand and draw it across the left. And then begin to draw the right elbow back as if you're drawing a bow and arrow. So you'll start to feel a rotation in the trunk here. If this is enough, stay here, or you have the option to open the right arm fully and begin to turn the head, only to the point that feels comfortable. Take it back to center. And we're going to do 2 more, just like that. Cross the chest, hips facing forward, elbow drawing back with the option to extend the arm and turn the head. And then come back to center. 1 more. Inhaling as you draw back. Really focus on keeping the hips forward with the option to extend the arm. And then back to center. Take the arms by the side and just lift the shoulders up and then drop them down. A few shoulder rolls here. And then go the other way. We'll do the other side in just a moment. Okay, reaching the arms back in front of you and then tracing the left hand along the right, hips facing forward, left elbow drawing back. Option to open the arm fully or keep it where it is. Only turning the head to the point that feels comfortable. Take a breath in and then exhale. Back to the front and then draw it back. Back to the front, and then 1 more. Okay, once again, just draw the shoulders up and then down. Take a few moments here, and then go the other way. Okay, hopefully feeling a little bit warmer now, a little bit more ready for the main section of our practice. So we're going to start with coming to a seat and coming to the edge of the chair. Feet hip distance apart or a little bit wider. You can play around with the distance. If you feel like you need some support for the sit bones, then place a pillow underneath. Come right to the edge. Make sure the chair's not going to slip. And then you have a few options here. You can begin with a nice long spine and just take the forearms onto the thighs. This might be enough of a stretch here into the back, or you may want to come and take the hands down around the calves, thumbs dropping and reaching over the shins, with the crown of the head relaxing down. That's your second option. Your third option is to reach the hands away from the feet, and that will create a deeper stretch into the back. If you're feeling a bit of compression between the abdomen and the thighs, take a pillow between. And you can play around with the distance here, and allowing the crown of the head to really relax down here. So this is getting a stretch into the muscles in the back, allowing some decompression for the spine. Allow the crown of the head to relax down. So remember, we're going to do a second round. And if you're feeling at this point, oh, I could do something that's, you know, a bit deeper, a bit more intense than this, remember, this is about having an approach that says, okay, let's start with one round and then go in the second round for either the same or something different. It's the same when if you have ever lifted weights, you don't lift the heavy weights straight away. You start with the lighter weight. And some days you may only lift the lighter weight. And some days you then, on the second round, once you're a bit more warmed up, you'll go for the heavier weight. And that's kind of the approach that we want to encourage. It's not about trying to go as far as you can. Just come to the point where you feel the stretch and breathe. Allow the crown of the head to relax down. So this is opening up, as I said, into the back, decompressing the spine. We'll be here for just one more moment. And then slowly make your way back up. Okay, take a breath, take a rest. Between each movement, encourage yourself just to find some stillness, pause, feel the effects of that. Focus on slowing your exhales down, calming your breath. And for the second set, you could do one of those three options. If you felt like that was more than enough, go for one of those three options. If you'd like to explore something else, another version of a forward fold, another three options here. So you could have the hands to the backrest of the chair, the hands to the seat of the chair, which could be facing around. You could walk the hands down the chair, or you could remove the chair completely and do this freestanding, taking the hands onto the calves or allowing the elbows to dangle, holding onto the forearms or the elbows or the wrists. And if you're in the standing option, make sure you draw the weight in towards the toes and not towards the heels. We want to bend the knees a little, lift the hips so we feel this above the knees, getting into the belly of the hamstring instead of behind the knees. Okay, so this might be your option today, but it might also be that you're doing the seated option, which is absolutely perfect, whatever feels right for you. So we're going to be here for another 30 seconds or so. For those seated, just begin to allow the crown of the head to relax down, and that also applies for those standing. Try not to force and push into this. Just come to the point where you feel the sensation and breathe. Whenever you're ready, bending the knees and slowly coming all the way back up. Okay. Either come to a standing position and just take a breath here, or if you were seated, just come upright and take a breath. Okay, so that was some flexion and decompression for the spine. We're now going to work into some extension, so opening things up the other way. First round would be seated. Coming to the edge of the chair, and you have three options here. Hands can be on the thighs, pressing into the thighs, top of the thighs, and lifting the chest up. If you are to lift the head, I would only begin looking between the wall and the ceiling. I wouldn't recommend dropping the head kind of all the way back. Just only extend the neck gently to begin with. So that's option one. Option two is to hug around the chair And option 3 is to hold on to the backrest of the chair. Drop the shoulders back, lift the chest, and breathe here. So this is our extension. We're opening up the chest, the shoulders, and working into some opening into the lower back, some extension for the lower spine. It's all really important in AS, keeping the spine moving. Make sure you're not holding the breath, but doing your best just to breathe softly and gently through the nose. Notice what's going on in the body, listening to the sensation of the stretch. Asking yourself, where am I feeling this in the body? Am I perhaps going too far, or do I perhaps need a little bit more? So building that awareness just to listen to what's going on in the body. Quite often when we're living in chronic pain, we can sometimes skip parts of the body. And this is a moment just to acknowledge things, to acknowledge how things are here and now. Whenever you're ready, coming out and taking a rest. We don't have to only take rests between each pose. If at any point during the practice you need a rest, take one. And never feel guilty or bad about doing that. Actually be proud that you've taken that moment to say, actually, I need to rest here. And that's what's going to serve your body. So we're going to do a second round. If that's first round, you felt like one of those 3 options, so just a reminder, hands on the thighs, on the chair or on the backrest was enough, stay there. If you'd like to try something a little bit more deep, then you could take a few pillows in front of the chair and come to a kneeling position. Feet can be a little bit closer in or hip distance. And then what we're going to do is make sure the chair is nice and close in, hold on to the chair legs and lift the chest, shoulders dropping back. And that's our second option. If we are doing that option, know that this is a lot more intense and you don't want to over stretch here. So focus on whatever's going to feel right. If you are doing this option kneeling, then squeeze the buttocks. That's going to provide a sensation of more space in the lower back. Only lifting the head to the point that feels comfortable. Keeping the hips stacked above the knees and breathing here. And if you're doing the seated option, again, making sure that you're breathing softly and gently. Shoulders relaxing back. We're only going to be here for just 10 more seconds and you may have already taken a rest, which is great. Okay, whenever you're ready, we're going to come out of the pose and take a rest. Okay, so we're going to come to stand now with the backrest of the chair facing us. We're now going to work into a position that's going to work our balance, also the strength, the muscles in the back, and working into the strength of our legs as well. So a lot going on this one. The first round, we're going to begin with the hands gripping onto the chair, standing tall. Making sure there's enough room behind you because the legs will be going back, and same for the room in front of you. Draw the weight into the right foot. Keep a little bend in the right knee and begin to send the left leg back. So this might be you for today, just having a little lift with that left leg, and that's perfect. You're working the balance, you're having to stabilize with your core, building some stability in the back. If you'd like to go further, then you could reach the opposite arm, reaching the right arm out in front of you. Bending the knee, reaching back, and then finding your breath here. If you'd like to take this further still, you can reach further back with the leg and reach further forward with the arm. And looking down towards the floor. So we're not lifting the head up, but you can look forward with the eyes, which will give you an ability to find some balance here. We won't be here for as long as the other poses, just about 5 more seconds before coming all the way back up. Take a breath, shake out the legs, and we'll do the other side. So drawing the weight into the right leg this time and sending the left leg back. This is enough, stay here, or extend the left arm. Try to keep the hips square, so not turning out to one side, and don't force coming down here, just stay to the point that feels comfortable. Keep breathing, keep lifting that left leg back, reaching the right arm forward, and then slowly come up whenever you're ready. Take a breath. Okay, so for the second set, if you felt like that was challenging enough, stay there. If you'd like to explore this further, you've got 2 options. You can either do it without the chair or with the chair, but with both arms extended. So you could do both arms extended, or you do it without the chair, both arms extended, but you could start with the chair for support. I'd recommend trying it with the chair for support and then extending both the arms. You can play around with this. So second set, either do what you did on the first round, which could have been one of the 3 options with just the left or right leg back, then extending one of the arms, or then coming further forward, further down. So whenever you're ready, we're going to grip onto the chair, or if we're doing this without the chair, we're going to just have the hands by the side. And we're going to begin to send the left leg back. Left leg back. And then pick whichever option feels right to you. Either then extending the right arm or extending both arms this time. And coming further forward still. So this is Warrior 3 pose, is what we've been practicing for the last 2 rounds. Keep breathing, keep the weight in towards the toes. Don't hold the breath. Use the chair for support if you need it. You don't have to extend both arms. You can just do one, or just keep the leg back. We'll be here for 3, 2, 1, and come back up. Take a breath. Let's do the other side now. So extending the right leg back with the option to extend the left arm. And then the option to extend both arms, or just stay with the hands on the chair. Keep lifting back, keep reaching forward. If you do have the arms forward, focus on that reach, focus on that lift. If the hands are on the chair, focus on the chest, lifting up, and only lifting the leg back to the point that feels right for you today. And we'll be here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and come up. Great work. So just going to take a little rest. Your heart rate might have elevated. We're going to just focus on slowing the breathing down and taking a moment here. Okay. So up next, we're going to be working a little bit higher up into the thoracic spine, into the shoulders, into the chest. And we're going to do 2 rounds of some variations of a downward facing dog. So the first option is to have the hands to the backrest of the chair, the heel of the hands, and then walking the feet 2 to 3 feet back, bending the knees generously and relaxing the chest down to the floor, lifting the hips, ears between the upper arms. So that's one option. You don't have to come far down. You may be quite up high, and that's absolutely fine. Over time, you're looking to just gently relax the chest down, bending the knees as much as you need. Or you could do this with a wall, and that will just change the positioning of the shoulders. So you could then take the hands higher up the wall, which will make this more shoulder dominant, or lower down the wall, which will make this more hamstring and mid-back dominant. So you can play around with that. So that's your 2 options for this round. Just relax into this, keep breathing, slowing your breath down. Feel the chest really sink down to the floor. Just relaxing the muscles in the face. Working on opening up our hamstrings, our shoulders, our mid-back, into the thoracic spine here as well. Slowly walk the feet all the way back up. To stand and take a breath. So, second set, you could do one of those two options, and that's absolutely perfect. Go for that. If you'd like to try something that's a bit deeper, then you have these next 2 or 3 options. Hands on the seat of the chair instead of the backrest, and this will make this a little bit more shoulder dominant. Ears between the upper arms. Lifting the hips, or take the mat. If you have a mat, or if you don't, you could use a towel here, roll it up, place the fingers dropping off the mat and the heel of the hands, the palm of the hands on the mat, and then lifting the hips up and back, pressing the hands into the floor to come into a downward facing dog. Or you could do it without the mat rolled up, which will be a little bit more intense on the wrists. So just be mindful of that. Focusing not on trying to straighten the legs, but instead bending the knees to allow the hips to lift up, pressing the hands into the floor, ears between the upper arms. So we're getting some more opening into the mid spine here. So you might already be in the pose at this point, but knowing whichever one you pick, make sure it's one that's right for you. So the tabletop, downward dog, up the wall, to the chair or to the floor. The most important thing is to find a position that's right for you and then breathe, slow your breath down, focus on extending your exhalations. When we extend the exhalations, it slows down the heart rate, it relaxes the muscles, it tells the body that we're safe, calms everything down, which is great for our stretching practice. Whenever you're ready, just here for a few more moments. You may want to stay a little bit longer in the second round, or come up with me and come up to take a rest, take a breath. Okay, so that's our kind of real active part of the practice over. So really acknowledge yourself up to this point. If you want to grab a drink of water, just take a moment to have a breather, do so. We will continue in just a minute. And whilst you're relaxing, whilst you're taking a moment, either sitting or standing, at this point, if you'd like to decide to continue the practice from a chair, so seated from a chair, then that's an option. Or the next part of the practice can be done lying down. So I'm only going to be doing one round of the next section of the practice, and I'm going to give an option to do from the chair or an option to do lying down. But it's good to pick one or the other, because otherwise you'll be getting up and down from the floor. If you are okay with that, that's great. But we always say it's nice to just say, okay, the rest of the practice is from the chair or the rest of the practice is lying down. And that way you just know what's coming. So based on what you've done so far, maybe you could say, okay, do you know what, chair is a good option for me today, or lying down is a good option. Regardless, we will need a couple of pillows. And if you do have a belt handy, that's great as well. It's only for literally one pose at the end, and it's non-essential. Okay. So you will need to just pause between each pose, because I'm going to give a short demonstration. And the first demonstration I'll give will be from the chair. The second will be lying down. And that just means you might just want to wait, 20 seconds before coming into the lying down version. Okay, so up next then, we're going to come into an opener for the glutes and into the hips as well. So standing, seating or standing, neither of those, sitting tall, we're going to take the left calf onto the right thigh, or you could take the left calf just below the right knee. So either on the thigh or below the thigh. And then from there, we could stay as we are, or begin to just draw the chest forward, and we'll begin to feel a stretch into that left hip. Okay, so stay as you are on the chair. It's lying down. We're gonna have the feet on the floor and take the left calf on the right thigh. Either have the arms just by the side, or you could hug around the left thigh, just around the left thigh, below the left knee, or you could lift the right leg, and this will be a bit more intense. Okay, so we're going to be here for about another 25 seconds. And at this point, either lying or seated, you can begin to take the left knee towards the right shoulder. And this is just going to change up where you feel the stretch more predominantly. We'll just deepen the stretch here. And whenever you're ready, releasing, just taking a pause before we come to the other side. Whenever you're ready, if you're seated, take the right calf on the left thigh or just below, and then draw. Either relaxing the right knee down, or if you're lying down, you can hug around the right thigh or around the left or below the right knee. The first 20 seconds just be a bit more passive here with the arms, and then we'll come to the option where we'll take the right knee across the left shoulder. Okay, at this point, if you'd like to just change up the stretch, take the right knee towards the left shoulder, either seated or lying down. Okay, whenever you're ready, releasing that. And we're going to now take 2 pillows between the thighs. So if you've got a really thick pillow, you may only want 1, but if you don't, then maybe 2 is more appropriate. So seated or lying down, 2 pillows between the thighs. Feet on the floor, lying down, feet on the floor, seated. And from here, we're going to squeeze the pillows in for the count of 3, 2, 1, and then relax. Let's do 4 more. This is an SI joint stabilizer. So 3, 2, 1, release, and then 1 more. 3, 2, 1, and then another 1 more. The 3, 2, 1, and then last one, this time squeezing for longer, for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Okay, so at this point in the practice, you've just got 1 more pose to do. So you could either do this seated, or if you're lying down, get instructions in just a moment. And as I mentioned, it's just an opportunity to rest. So from seated, we're going to turn clockwise 90 degrees, feet on the floor, lifting the chest up and taking the hands to the backrest. Or you could take them to the corners of the chair or onto the middle of the chair. Don't use the arms to twist. Use the engagement of the back, the strength of the abdominals, and the trunk to twist. So try and twist without using the hands pushing in there. Instead, just gently begin to ease into the twist. Okay, so we'll be here for those seated. Because you're going to be there a little bit longer, I'll tell you when to take a rest if you would like to listen to those cues, but take a rest at any point. And for those lying down, take a pillow between the thighs. Those seated will just be there for another 10 seconds. Pillow between the thighs for those lying down, and a pillow to the outside edge of the right leg. Arms open wide like a capital T, and then dropping the knees down to the right. Okay, so those seated, just come back to center and take a rest here. Those lying down, option to look over the right side, which will be more gentle as a rotation for the neck, or look over the left, which will be a deeper rotation for the neck. And if you'd like to deepen this stretch more, you could release the pillow that's underneath that right thigh. For those seated, just use this as an opportunity, just another 20 seconds or so, to really breathe softly, gently, slow down your breath. And whenever you're ready, those lying down, come back to center, and then take the pillow to the outside edge of the left leg and drop the knees down to the left. With the same options, either looking over the left for a gentler rotation or looking over the right for a deeper one. Try not to force the head into a rotation, instead just ease your way through. And for those seated, joining in now after that rest, turning anti-clockwise now, feet on the floor, hands to the backrest, corners or the middle, and then we lift the chest up and ease our way into this twist. Try not to use the hands to force into the twist. Focus on lifting up, lengthening first, and then easing into this twist. Only turning the head to the point that feels comfortable here. For those lying down, just come back to center now. For those on the chair, just be here for 5 more seconds. And whenever you're ready, releasing here. Okay. Right, so at this point in the practice, we're going to spend a couple of minutes coming into a moment to relax at the end of class. I'll show you the option seated first, and then for those lying down. So for those lying down, keep the feet on the floor, knees up to the ceiling. You could place a pillow underneath the hips, and I'll give some further guidance in a moment. For those on a chair, come close to the wall. If you have a wall available, if you don't worry. But if you do have a wall, come to the point where you can relax back against the wall and place a pillow to the back of the head. And you can also have, this is why I mentioned the strap or belt at the start, a strap or belt around the thighs, and that will just take some effort out of the legs to make this more of a passive position. Arms by the side, palms facing up. So this is our relaxation from a chair. For those lying down, have the chair handy. We're going to have a pillow, the hips, and take the legs up onto the chair, to the seat of the chair, with an option of a belt or strap around the legs. If you feel the chin is dropping back, take a moment to take the hands just on the back of the head and then slowly place it back down so you feel a little bit more length there. And if you still feel the chin is dropping back, take a pillow underneath the head. Okay, so arms by the side, palms facing up. And this is the point in the practice where we're just going to take some moments to really slow everything down. And either seated or lying down, ask yourself this question: is there anything else I need to get more comfortable here? So that might mean some more layers, it might mean some more cushions, some more pillows. It might mean making any adjustments. We're just going to begin to soften or even close the eyes. And focus on the breath now. Noticing the breath in the body. And perhaps now beginning to extend your exhalations further. So you could do that by counting in a rhythm, breathing in for 2 or breathing out for 4, breathing in for 3, breathing out for 6, breathing in for 4, breathing out for 8. You get the idea. It doesn't have to be a certain duration. The most important thing is the exhale is longer than the inhale. So I'd always start it in for 2, out for 4, and see how you get on there. Breathing in this way, especially if we bring in the nasal breathing, breathing through the nose, slowing down your exhale, and quietening the breath, breathing lightly, is going to help the body to drop into the relaxation response, where there's less stress, more calm, by breathing in this way. This is all scientifically proven to help to slow down that stress response and drop into the relaxation response. So just for another minute, focus on slowing your exhales down. Noticing if you're breathing in the upper chest, seeing if you can bring the breath deeper into the belly, into the diaphragm. Those lower 2 ribs expanding and contracting. And now letting go of any particular breathing exercise and just allowing yourself to be as you are, here and now, resting. There's no need for you to do anything at all at this point, except be as you are, here and now. And if your mind wanders and drifts, no, that's normal. Just gently come back to the natural rise and fall of your breath and begin again. Whenever you're ready now, just beginning to take some bigger breaths. Perhaps then beginning to move the fingers and toes, the ankles and wrists, perhaps reaching the arms by your side or up overhead. And if you're lying down, rolling onto one side and just spending some moments there. If you were seated, just coming away from the back of the chair and towards the front of the chair. For those lying down, making your way up now to a seat of your choice, either sitting on a chair or sitting on the floor, whatever's going to be most comfortable. And wherever you are, just take a moment to notice how you're feeling. Notice any change from this session today. Any change, any difference in how you're feeling, big or small, is all down to you, taking the time out of your busy day to do something for you. So it's been an absolute pleasure taking you through this live webinar today, and just can't thank you enough, and really looking forward to continuing this partnership with the CSA. So thank you everyone, and have a great rest of your day. Cheers. And time for questions, I think. So
yes, thank you so much, Jamie. That was great. And we do have one question. I'll read that one in a second. And please feel free to type your questions in if anyone has any additional questions into the Q&A feature. As I mentioned at the beginning of the session, it's in the bottom panel of your Zoom frame. You'll see Q&A. Just click on that and you'll have an option to submit a question if you'd like. So we do have a question that's come in. I really appreciated the variations you've offered me. Do you have suggestions for resources specific to folks who use wheelchairs? And in the case of the person that's asking the question, it's a motorized wheelchair. Thank you.
Sure. So we don't have resources specifically for wheelchair users at the moment, but that's definitely something we'd like to do in the future. But what we do have is we do have a specific resource that is all done from a chair, and that's called our Foundations course. So on our online virtual library, which has over 20 courses, one of those courses is called the Foundations course, and that's all done from a chair. There's no getting down to the floor. There are a few poses in there that are standing, but there are poses that you can pick and choose and pick the seated options. If it's something that you have like a particular question about, and it's something that we could address more personally, you could always reach out over email, and we're happy to discuss further and give you some more options, because we definitely believe that you can practice yoga purely sitting without having to get and stand up. So yeah, hopefully that helps, but do reach out.
Great, thank you. Had a couple of people say how much they've enjoyed the class, and thank you, Jamie, for that. Another question came in: do you have other sessions we can take part in on a regular basis? Really appreciated it. So Jamie, maybe you can take a moment here just to explain what happens or what's available to people when they register for the program through the CSA website.
Yeah, so perfect question, perfect timing. With the registration through the website of the CSA, you get access to 9 classes. And these are pre-recorded classes, a little bit different from these because the quality is a lot better. Those both visual, obviously the live classes like here, you get pretty good quality, but the audio is really good and it's very clear as a session. There's 3 different levels. So in the session today, I gave about, as you saw, about 3 to 6 different options for every pose. There's going to be beginners, intermediate, and advanced. And each one of those will have around 15 minutes thereabouts, around 30 minutes thereabouts, and around 45 to 60 minutes. So you can pick and choose, depending how much time you have in the day, you can just press play and follow along to these classes. They're follow along classes, so they're really kind of action-packed, meaning it's not lots of kind of education. We know with AS, we just want to get moving, and that's really what it's about. And you get access from now for those 9 videos, and you could start with the beginners, see how you get on, or jump to one that you might want to try, like intermediate or advanced.
Great, thanks, Jamie. And then for those that are interested in kind of taking things a bit further from there, there are options to sign up for some of the live programs and other resources that Jamie and Jeff have available. And we do have, there is a CSA discount for those. So the basic program is free of charge, thanks to this partnership, for any Canadians who register. And then if people want to go kind of a step further or several steps further down the road, there is a subscription type model that is available, but we do have a discount through our partnership as well for those that would like to take it to that level. So thanks very much for that, Jamie. We have another question that's come in the early exercises, the early part of the session with the chair. Is it okay to bend the legs?
To bend the legs?
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah. So short and sweet answer there. It's okay to do anything that's going to feel better in your body when you're practicing yoga or any other exercise. So definitely, yes, bend the knees.
Okay, I have another question here from Catherine, who says she's a certified yoga teacher who teaches various types of hatha yoga and chair yoga, but recently been diagnosed with spondyloarthritis in both hips and the SIs as well. However, I am hypermobile. I've been told to back off of all the stretches. That didn't make sense to me since I don't feel the stretch at all then. I don't know if there might be any advice that you could give me.
Yeah, absolutely. So nearly every day I'm speaking with someone who has both AS and hypermobility. It is something that more and more I'm seeing quite often with people coming into our classes. So it's something that I'm very familiar with, and we've done some resources on this before as well. We actually have, we had a guest teacher a while back do some resources on both hypermobility and AS. So it's about building strength and stability when it comes to hypermobility. So that sounds like a great start to a very weird song, but for example, if earlier on when we were doing a forward fold, if you've got hypermobility and you feel you can, really easily get down, instead of just hanging in that end range of motion where you're kind of really pushing into those joints, instead, we're working to build strength within them. So that might mean, as we did in the beginning, those hip hinges where we were coming forward and back. And over time, you may want to add some resistance there. So you could add a weight and work into those hip hinges. And that's going to be still working into the hamstring, still working into the back, but it's building stability, which is so important with hypermobility, because you may have that range of motion, but you want to be working to build strength there. And that will make you feel more supported in your joints and more comfortable. So it's all about building stability and strength, which all of our classes we recommend doing anyway, and we always incorporate aspects of that. But especially with hypermobility, it's about finding a length and not trying to push into a stretch, and instead just saying, okay, let's see if there's options for me to build strength within this end range of motion. So there's nothing wrong with going into a stretch if it's comfortable and you're not hyperextending. But when you get to that point, you then want to be thinking, how can I bring strength into this? And that actually is great advice for anyone, to be honest.
Thanks, Jamie. We have another question here that's come in. Someone who says they haven't been diagnosed with spondylitis, but are at risk for it. So they're wondering if yoga and stretching can help to improve flexibility and perhaps less likely to be affected.
So, I mean, I'd love to say there's been research done on early prevention of any spondyloarthritis with an intervention like yoga, but there hasn't. But what I would say is, if you're keeping up with practices that are going to help improve your flexibility and your range of motion, then an AS diagnosis would mean you're starting from a better foundation, right? So it's just about making sure that your movements, your general patterns, like going down and up and to the side, kind of what we did today was kind of really looking at the real basis of movements. That's just a great foundation for life. Whatever comes up, it's always good to have that foundation for anyone. So hopefully that somewhat addresses your question.
Thanks very much, Jamie. So we have reached the end of our hour, and I noticed that there might be another question or two that's come in. Someone was asking about some classifications of spondyloarthritis. If you want to reach out to us directly anytime, please do, and we'll be happy to provide more information on that for you. Just email info@spondylitis.ca or catch us on social media. But I do want to take this opportunity to thank you, Jamie. This has been fantastic. We're so excited to be able to launch this partnership here just realized my camera wasn't on. Sorry about that. And wanted to acknowledge again the great partnership that we've been forging with Yoga for AS. We're so excited. This session tonight is really just the launch of that program. If you, I know there's a couple of questions that have come in as well about the link and how to register for the program. Please visit our website. And Dan, if you have any more specific information about that with the link, you might want to just chime in about it now. But otherwise, visit our website. You will see the Yoga for AS program there, yoga and stretching for spondyloarthritis, and all the information you need, including a nice little instructional video that Jamie put together that walks you through step by step what you need to do to register. You'll get that once you sign up for the program. It should be pretty easy. But again, if you have any questions about signing up for the program, about anything we've covered tonight, please feel free to reach out to us directly at info@spondylitis.ca. You can always call us as well if you'd prefer to speak on the phone. Our toll-free number is 866-989-8787. And we'd be happy to chat with you either virtually or in a voice format, depending on your preference. So for those that do pursue the program and sign up, I would ask you to please keep in touch with us and let us know how you're doing and how you're finding it and how yoga and stretching is perhaps making a difference for you and helping you manage your disease. And please be sure when you do that, please tag us on social media. We want to share this program with as wide an audience as possible. And so the more activity we have on social media, the more people that will know about us and about this program and all the other great things that we have to offer to the community. So keep those things in mind. And in the meantime, like I said, if you have any other questions, please reach out to us anytime, whether it's about this session or anything to do with spondyloarthritis. We're here to serve you and serve the community. So thanks again, Jamie, and thanks everyone for joining us here this evening. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. Our next session is on October 17th. We'll be putting out some information on that in the next day or so. It's a spondyloarthritis patient forum featuring some members of the Spondyloarthritis Research Consortium of Canada, Dr. Robert Inman, Dr. Nigel Haroon, Laura Passalon, who's a physiotherapist. So it's going to be another great session that will be again on October 17th. So we look forward to seeing you then and hopefully chatting with you in the meantime. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.